Hi guys, welcome to today's version of Let's Talk with Ayurveda. I am Dr. Manan Gandhi and we're just going to wait for a few people to join in before we can start. Hello. Good afternoon to all of you all. Thank you all for attending and coming. Hi, I think I'll just wait for about 5 minutes for a little bit more people to come in before we can start. Till then, if all of you all have any questions, please feel free to type them out. Let me try and answer all of them. The more the questions that we can answer, the better it is. Hello, good afternoon to all of you all. Right, people who have questions can just type it in, and I'll try to answer all of your questions. Hello to all of you all as well. I'm very grateful that you all have removed a bit of time to listen to what I have to blabber about today. Which mask is preferable to use for a healthy person? Avni Doshi has asked me this. Okay, in fact, that's actually a very good question, but the answer is probably something you will not like. But I'll still try to answer the question of which mask is to be used by a healthy person. What normally happens is that, at least what is you're being educated about, is that masks are extremely good for preventing the spread of COVID virus. Now that probably might not be true. Clinical studies have shown and researchers have shown that despite using a mask, by sneezing onto it or by coughing into it, the virus very easily goes out and can spread, which is why despite you and the opposite person having a mask, a 6 feet distance is a must. But what the mask does really help in is that the droplets that are there, they break down into smaller pieces, so the distance that the sneeze can go to will reduce. Also, normally the cotton masks that we're using basically don't contain what the surgical mask does. Surgical mask has a non-woven layer which really helps in prevention, but the cotton masks and the designer ones that are available these days aren't really that effective. But of course, something is better than nothing, so do wear a mask. But if you really expect that just because you've worn a mask and you're in a crowded place where there is no social distancing, you're safe, it's not really true. With these masks, there are a lot of holes and a lot of areas where the viruses can go in, and if the mask is not properly worn, even if a little bit of area is left out, that can cause a problem. A few days back, there was a controversy where a lot of people claimed that the filters added to the N95 mask prevent the virus from entering, but that is absolutely not true. It does not prevent the viruses from entering. So please don't get into all of these marketing gimmicks. Okay, wear a mask that fits you well, preferably wear a surgical mask. If you don't have any option, then wear a cotton mask. Okay, is SpO2 tested by oximeter a safe analysis? Of course, we're using oximeters are used even in the ICUs. It is extremely safe for you to use an oximeter and analyze. My son has white spots on his face and you had recommended fennel seeds with water. We have been giving him warm water, pepper, cinnamon and turmeric once a day. Please advise. I don't remember that right now, but if I had recommended fennel seeds, then I probably wanted the body to cool down a little bit. You giving pepper, cinnamon and turmeric, all three being heaty, is basically going exact opposite of what I had recommended to you. Should steam and kathas be taken every day? I have a very interesting take on steam. I think I'd spoken on that last time if I remember correctly. Steam, normally when we intake steam, what we're actually doing is something I'll explain to you. We're taking water, we're converting it into water vapor, hot water vapor, that is steam, and we're taking it breathing it in. So that's going into our sinuses, going to our frontal sinus, our maxillary sinuses. And because of this heat, it's basically removing the cold that is stuck there. So you feel very, very comfortable after you've taken the steam. But what happens is that after you've taken the steam, the water that you've put into the sinuses will again sediment and will again cause more congestion. So steam is a temporary relief, but a permanently it's not going to affect you. In fact, might even worsen the condition. So people who've been taking steam probably have to take it on and off for a long period of time, because they're constantly running after relief and it's not getting cured. Ayurveda, on the other hand, has a system called Dhumapan, not Dhumrapan, Dhumpan, wherein we burn some herbs that basically the smoke from those herbs, the dry herbs that come out, are to be ingested. That does not have water in it, so it doesn't really sediment and clog, and that will really help you out. So I am not a big fan of steam too much, especially to be taken through the nostrils. But yes, steaming in terms of like you going to a sauna steam kind of a room, that's a different kind of steaming that can help in vata based diseases. Get sweat for a few minutes after taking immunity tab balaushad, is that okay? That's absolutely fine, because it's also works as a detoxification process. It does clean out your sweat glands a little bit. In fact, it's a very good thing if you're having these kind of symptoms. The last time you started answering the question on drinking water during, before and after meal, if you can please share your thoughts, thank you. Absolutely, Aviral. So normally in Ayurveda, drinking water before meals, after meals, and during meals. This is a question I get asked a lot. And let me try to answer this in two different ways. In Charak Samhita, which is probably the treatise or the main book of Ayurveda that we refer to, it's clearly mentioned that anyone who has water after food is called Vishapradam, which means that it becomes like a vish or poison. So you should never have water after meals. You should never have water before meals. But you should always have water along with your meals in a sipping fashion. Shouldn't be drinking glasses of water, but maybe half a glass or a 75% full glass of water, approximately somewhere between 100 to 150 ml of water during your meals, not in a gulping but in a sipping fashion, will ensure your digestion works very well. Ayurveda says half your stomach should be filled with food. You can't really eat until you have that dakar and say kya khana bana tha. You have to eat food until half your stomach is full with food. 1/4 of the stomach is full with liquids. It could be your dals, it could be a little bit of water that you sip. And 1/4 of your stomach should be left empty. You shouldn't fill your stomach completely. And that brings about a good churning process. And that good churning process will always lead to good digestion. And you will not have a problem. So always have water with meals. Another part that I wanted to tell you is that despite telling you that this should not be done, it's still said that what happens when you do this. So if you take water before the meals, you basically tend to start losing your tissues and start losing a little bit of weight. Similarly, if you take water after meals, you start increasing kapha and you start increasing weight. Now this weight gain or loss isn't considered to be very, very healthy, but this is what happens. Okay. Himalaya Guduchi is good this day. Himalaya is a decent company at best. Guduchi as a herb is good for people who are probably wanting to increase their immunity, who've had a liver based problem, maybe a fatty liver issue as well, or who've had pitta related problems like acidity or occipital headaches, hair falls, migraines, things like red rashes in the body wherein there's burning in the body, maybe in the urine, maybe in the eyes, maybe in the palms and the feet. For those people, Guduchi will work. For COVID positive, N95 or surgical mask. I would go with surgical mask to be honest, but an N95 will also work. The important point is not which mask to use, but the important thing is also how you wear the mask. The mask should be worn tightly. You have this nasal clip that you get with these masks, but we keep it loose. We need to tighten this entire thing up, that there is no leakage and whatever breath goes does not go from down or from up. It basically has to go through that cloth, otherwise it makes no sense. Also, despite of all of the masks that you are wearing, a 6 foot distance is mandatory. Good morning, Kaustubh. Is egg good for a chronic pitta patient? Okay, that's as a question that is flawed because I can't give you a yes or a no reply. Eggs have its own properties. It's great in case if you need more body building or more proteins. So it's great for a vata based disease. It's really not something that I recommend for a kapha based disease, but it's pretty neutral for a pitta based person. If you egg does increase the heat a little bit, so you could avoid it ideally. How do you recognize your doshas? Let me give you a shlok, and I think the shlok will help all of you all understand what doshas can affect you or are affecting you. Vayu nasti ruja, pittam nasti daha, kapha nasti kandushot. Let me explain what that means. Vayu means vata dosh, nasti means without it, without the vata dosh, ruja or pain. So pain cannot occur without vata dosh. So if you are suffering from a disease where pain is the principal symptom, it could be arthritis, it could be any kind of a pain. Okay, there has to be an involvement of vata. Pittam nasti daha. Burning cannot happen without pitta. So if you are suffering from a disease where burning is the main symptom, like you have gastritis, okay, or you have burning in the eyes, or maybe burning in the urine as a UTI, then it has to be the pitta dosh that is involved. Kapha nasti kandu shot, which means there are two things that cannot happen without kapha. Kandu, which means itching. So if you are suffering from a disease where there's constant itching, scratching, maybe next to your genitals, maybe in your head, maybe on your neck, maybe in the armpits or anywhere where there is sweat accumulation, that could mean you have a kapha problem. And shot, which means swelling, also does not happen without kapha. People who are suffering from an itching kind of a kapha are basically people who have an excessive saltiness in their diet, and people who are suffering from a swelling kind of a disease, then they have more of sweetness in their diet. So the kapha is also with different rasas here. So you can probably identify your doshas with these in a very primitive household manner. Next, I am getting interested in Ayurveda since I have started seeing your videos. Can you please recommend any YouTube channel or site where we can study it? I'm a little bit old school here, Avni, so I would really recommend a book. I think one of the books that I read before I went into the formal education in Ayurveda was a book called Prakriti by Robert E. Swoboda. Robert Swoboda, the book was called Prakriti. It tried to explain Ayurveda from a Westerner's perspective, but basically what it did is it simplified it very much. Did not use too much Sanskrit that I am using, and it's something that can be now understood by a layman if you read that book. It's very simple, you can get your hands on it. As far as YouTube channels or websites, I have not really come across something. Probably there might be something of value there, but I don't know. Anything to decrease dark circles under the eyes? There are quite a few things, but like there are different oils that I use, there are different creams that you could use. But more importantly, what you need to understand is that dark circles are caused because of some problem. And once we find out what the root problem is, it could be insomnia, it could be stress, it could be anxiety. If you cure the real problem, then you're actually treating yourself. Till then, you're just basically using a quick fix by using some cream, some oil. There is something called as Shata Dhauta Grit, which is a great moisturizer and also helps in whitening those dark circles as well. Okay, so you could use that. There are things that normally brighten your skin tone. There are oils available in Ayurveda, multiple things. Hello doc, good afternoon. Is thyroid curable and can you share tips to control it? Thyroid is not only curable, in fact I could tell you, go on record and tell you, is we've cured thyroid for multiple patients and we continue to do it today. How we start with treating thyroid is that there are people who come to us who are on Thyronorm or Eltroxin, say 50 mg, 100 mg, 125, 150 mg, and with that medicine, on a daily intake of that medicine, the thyroid is under check. We start Ayurveda treatment alongside the allopathic treatment, and the minute their thyroid TSH levels start coming down, we start reducing their dependency on these drugs. So if you are on say Thyronorm 100, we start reducing it to either 75 or 50, and then we have another test to see that the reduction, how much has it had an impact. Again, we continue with our Ayurvedic medicines, and slowly and steadily, from 50 we get it to 25, and 25 we get it to either 12.5 or 0, and then we stop the allopathic medicine altogether. The next step is we stop Ayurvedic medicines altogether, and without any medicines, the patient is able to control their thyroid. Obviously, it is a lifestyle disorder, so you can't expect to eat and drink anything and live a very haphazard lifestyle. But thyroid is curable, absolutely, we've done it. Shankar, Erandabrushta is good for daily constipation. Erandabrushta Harade as a medicine is a classical medicine. It's good for constipation. Erandabrushta Harade is good for constipation. In fact, it's a little bit better than the other things that people would recommend. Shankar company I've not really used too much, so I don't really know if that company is making good quality medicines. In Ayurveda, I had this conversation with a patient today in the morning as well. There's a difference in Ayurveda and in allopathy, and the difference is this. You could use a generic medicine in allopathy or a branded medicine and they wouldn't have too much of a difference. The reason being is that that medicine is basically formed in a laboratory, and because it's made in a laboratory, the chemicals are to that precise measurement. But when it comes to Ayurveda, we don't make our medicines in laboratories, but they are really grown in either the Himalayas or a different kind of forest or different kind of lands. So similar to food products, herbs are also very similar there. So you could buy a badam that you could get for 60 bucks, and you could also buy a badam that you get for 1200 rupees. Now they are both badams, but there's a huge difference between that badam and this badam. When we are so peculiar, or when we go to buy a vegetable, we check everything, we buy the best quality, and we don't buy sada hua vegetables. You need to know that companies that used the best quality ingredients for their drugs and not the sada hua ingredients is very, very important for you to get well and not have any negative effects. So in Ayurveda, the company makes the whole difference. So you should always, the medicine as Erandabrushta Harade is great. It's as if, badam is good for you to consume. But then what badam are you getting your hands on? That's very important. Maids have started coming, and if they come from COVID prone areas, what extra care to take care other than mask distancing and sanitizing? I think it makes a lot of sense that whoever new is coming into your house, before they enter the house, you have a COVID test done by a private laboratory. If you can afford the money, please get them tested. If they are negative, then allow them to come to your house. Precaution never harms. Anything for skin that's good? Okay, if you mean that maids are coming daily from their homes to your house, if that is what you mean, then social distancing is number 1, wearing a mask is number 2, and whenever they come into the house, they should sanitize themselves. You could probably give them immunity boosting medicines to help them out as well, and that's probably it. Anything for good skin? It really depends. A lot of things that are there for good skin externally, but in reality, if you ask me, good skin doesn't come from external application. Skin is basically the biggest organ of the body. When you are of good health, your skin will radiate it. When you are upset, when you are in bad state, and health is not physical, it's also mental. So when you go upset, you become darker, and I don't mean darker in terms of the racist darker, but I mean the luster in the skin goes down. Right? The next question is bloating. Bloating normally happens due to an excessive gas in the body being accumulated and not able to come out, and that's how bloating occurs. So if you're suffering from bloating, it could mean 2 things. Number 1 is that your food isn't being digested, which is why gas is constantly being formed. Or number 2 is that your motions aren't really clearing at the correct time. They're probably taking a longer time to clear, or they're not clearing completely, which means that the sedentary motions that are staying there for a longer period of time is generating more gas. So then you need to identify what the cause is and try and address it. Using a cotton mask, I hope that's fine. Not really, but it's better than doing nothing. You can use a cotton mask. Always ensure you maintain a 6-foot distance. As long as you're doing that and you're not touching random things here and there, you're okay. Anything for pigmentation. Again, the same thing for the skin, right? You need to be in good health so that these pigmentations don't come. Pigmentations is natural for a Vata disease. So you need to do things that decrease the vata as well. How do you cure insomnia by Ayurveda? There are two versions of insomnia in Ayurveda. One that is caused due to vata and one that is caused due to pitta. The vata based insomnia is basically when you take a while to get sleep, but you do get sleep. But after you get sleep, the sleep is disturbed. So you're either getting nightmares or you're waking up frequently for no rhyme or reason. And that is a vata based insomnia, where there's stress, there's anxiety, and more importantly, there's fear and insecurity. A pitta based insomnia is different. A pitta based insomnia is you'll probably get sleep, but your sleep is very, very limited. So you could sleep, say, at about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and by 5 o'clock, your eyes just open up and then you don't get sleep. So it's not disturbed. During the time you're sleeping well, but then that's it. You wake up on your own, and you're probably suffering from things like anger, irritation the whole day. You just want to break something, or you feel very frustrated, not fearful but frustrated. That's a difference. So these are the two different what you can say primitive diagnosis that you can do for your own self, and based on that treatments would differ. So if you have a pitta problem, you can do some cooling things, things that basically cool your body a little bit, like soft, 1 tablespoon soak overnight and take it early in the morning. Or if it's a vata based problem, then you need to ensure you take things that are carminative, that basically reduce the gas in the body. So you can take a little bit of, say, hing, ajwain, soft, and salt, a combination of these four, and have a little bit. Don't have too much though. So you could do this. Any home remedy for swollen feet in old women? It could be an old woman, it could be someone young, but swollen feet is basically a symptom, and we need to find out why the feet is swollen. You should first of all do a kidney profile to check whether the kidneys aren't working properly, because if they are not, then they are not able to remove the water, and hence the swelling is there. Or for females, normally there's a disease called varicose veins. Varicose veins is when you can actually see those greenish bluish color veins in the feet, or you may not be able to see it if it's deep varicose veins. But because of that, the blood is not able to reach from the foot to the heart, anti-gravity, right? Because the valves in the veins have broken up. If that is the case, then you need to get a treatment done. There is no medicine available for varicose veins. There's only two things that you can do. You can either get it operated, which is a very bloody, painful operation. Wouldn't recommend. Second, you could do a leech therapy, where we put leeches on those areas where there is varicose veins. I've done this for my mother as well. And that leeches will basically collapse the vein, and the problem will subside for a temporary period of, say, a few years. It can come back again, and that's why you can do it again. My husband has high blood pressure at a young age. Can it be cured with Ayurveda? We've been curing people with blood pressure. It's very simple. In fact, you don't even have to take any medicines from me. I'll basically just give you one medicine that you have to buy from the market, and start with the medicines, monitor your blood pressure, and in a few months time you will be cured without really even coming to me. It's very simple to do this. But again, blood pressure is not just a physical thing. Huge amount of mental counseling and a mental work has to be put in. Blood pressure could happen because of stress, and that's something that you also have to work on. If you just depend on the medicine without understanding that it needs mental work, it needs a dietary change, it doesn't work like that. A home remedy for a cold. Now, cold is a symptom that could occur due to two things. People have cold when it is obviously cold around, when it's winters and you're sneezing, that's one cold. And there are other people who, when heat increases, or when it's hot, or when they're out in the sun, they start sneezing and they get a cold, they have mucus coming out. Now, they're both different. Both you could call them as a cold, but then one is happening in a cold environment and one is happening in a hot environment. So if it is happening in a cold environment, then the treatment for this is probably dry ginger powder. That will help. Sunt powder or salt powder, don't know what you'll call it. That, if you can use as probably a teaspoon a day, will really help. You can even make a paste where mixing it in water and applying it in the sinus areas, the maxillary sinuses, the frontal sinuses. If you have this earache because of a cold, then you could apply it on the back side of the ears. Maybe you can apply it in the forehead if you've got this severe headache because of a cold, right? If your skin is very sensitive, you have a burning sensation while applying it, You could also use ghee instead of water. It reduces the effectiveness of the treatment, but it will also not burn your skin so much. So yeah, you could do these things for the cold. If the cold is because of the heat outside, then the treatment is very different. Then I think then you need to contact me, because then I need to get that balance right. Doing home remedies over Instagram probably might result in detrimental effects. The last time you mentioned that there are simple ways to determine our body type. You can mention dosha based on symptoms. How can we determine the body's prakriti when there are no symptoms? What I'll do is, I think the last time's video I had shared a link on how you can check your prakriti. In case if I hadn't and I've forgotten, I will share it when I upload this on my IGTV. Right? You can just simply click on the link, fill up the questionnaire that is given on that website. I don't know the owner of the website, but he's done a phenomenal job putting that up. And you can follow the steps and find out your own prakriti. It may not be accurate 100%, but it's better than anything I've seen. Hello sir, I am positive on malaria. Any help with Ayurveda? Yes, of course. We do treat malaria with Ayurveda. There are medicines. There is Parijatak Vati. There is Mahasudarshan Churan. There is a lot of things that can help with malaria. You can contact me. Malaria is not something that can be taken very, very lightly. It has to be done in a proper consultation way. Don't buy medicines because I'm naming them here. Please consult a doctor, any good Ayurvedic doctor that you know, for a good Ayurvedic treatment on malaria. It is possible. We've been doing it. And what daily practices can keep our nadis clear and unblocked? You know, yesterday I was having a discussion with my father, and we were discussing about health and how people look at health. If you all have a few minutes, then I can probably get into this before answering the question. I spoke to him that I've been talking to a few patients, and for a few days, what I've been finding, and this is something, I get into this one zone, and I keep telling every patient I see something very similar on those lines. So, what I've been observing these days is that there are people who consider health to be their aim. When you ask them what is it that you're thinking, the whole time they're thinking on how do I remain healthy? How do I maintain my health? How do I increase my energy? If there's something minor wrong with them, they get very flustered. They don't like it. They really want to come into health. It seems to me that for them, health is the final goal or the final aim. I completely disagree with it. Health is nothing but a means for you to achieve what you are meant to achieve in this life. It may sound a little bit philosophical or spiritual, but that is what I feel. So if your goal is, say as a housewife, your role is to support the people in the family so that they can go out and do something for the community, do something for the family, maybe achieve some personal or some altruistic goals, then you need to have enough health so that you can do and perform your duties. The health cannot be your final aim, because it will only lead to disappointment. However hard you try to maintain your health, you're eventually going to grow old and die unless a truck hits you and you'll die healthy. But apart from that, what I'm trying to tell you is that health is just a means to achieve your goal. Do not make health your first goal. Having said that, you start off with a graph on 0, and then as you grow older, without any detoxification and with whatever lifestyle that you lead, you're basically just going lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. You might peak somewhere, in your 18s, 20s, where you go at your peak of your health. Some people, if they work hard, they might peak a little bit late as well. But as you age, your health is going to go lower and lower and lower. So a lot of people ask me questions that are more or less, how do I stop going lower? But there are very few people who ask me questions on how I can go higher in the graph, above 0, how I can actually promote my health rather than prevent diseases. And this is the first question I've seen on Instagram, is what are the daily practices that can help us keep our nadis clear and unblocked? There is something which normally people call as Anulom Vilom Pranayam. Right? It's to be done like this, but you can do it like this as well. This Anulom Vilom Pranayam is actually not a pranayam, neither is Kapalbhati. So the two most famous pranayams are actually not pranayams. Anulom Vilom is really called Nadi Shodhan Kriya. which has been renamed popularly by Baba Ramdev as Anulom Vilom Pranayam. So we can use that name, doesn't matter, as long as you understand what I'm trying to tell you. That is known as Nadi Shodhan Kriya. It means that by doing it daily, the Ida and the Pingala are constantly cleaned. Right? And when you do this pranayam, the breathing is not important. What is important is that your concentration has to be on the breath. You have to not think about something while doing the breath. You have to be one with the breath. It's a form of a preparation of meditation where you naturally move into it. Naturally move into preparation. By doing this daily, having a diet that is non-obstructive, avoid things like dahi, avoid things like excessive water intake in a humid area, avoid meat, avoid things that are heavy on your stomach, eat things that are easily assimilable, easily light, eat more fruit based things that basically is easy to digest, and you will have Shuddha Nadis. It may not mean you will have a lot of protein and strength, but you will have Shuddha Nadis where energy flows very, very easily. A remedy for a cold, I have just told you this remedy. In case if you've missed it, I'm going to post this on IGTV. You can please go through it. I'm so sorry. Vegetable oil versus ghee in daily food. Is it good to have 2 spoons of cow's ghee before lunch? You can use oil or you can use ghee for cooking food. If you have more people in the house who are of a Pitta Prakriti, ghee is better. If you have more people in the house who are of a Kapha Prakriti or a Vata Prakriti, specifically Vat, till oil is better. Specifically unrefined till oil. Unrefined. So if you ask me what I use in my house, we used unrefined till oil for our consumption. Okay. Now, you could have ghee over and above. So you could make your sabzi and your dals and your rotis and everything in your oils. But on the rotis, you can apply a little bit of ghee. Right. So ghee can be used as something that you can put on it. Having 2 spoons of cow's ghee before lunch makes absolutely no sense. For the simple fact is that you're basically giving your body fats initially for it to digest, and then over and above you're eating such heavy food. It should be mixed. Why take it before or after? Makes no sense. Can varicose veins be treated with medicines? Absolutely not. But there is a treatment which we've called as leech therapy. Jalaukava Charan, it's called in Ayurveda, where we put leeches, medicated leeches, not the ones that you walk through, you're trekking through in the rains and they stick to you and don't come out. These leeches are very ziddi leeches. You have to coax one into catching you. They don't catch you very easily. You have to tell them, please catch it. Sometimes you have to put a drop of honey or a drop of milk or sometimes even a drop of blood, or have to prick the area so that the leech might catch you. And it catches you and it basically sucks a lot of blood, inserts a lot of useful chemicals, and it basically shrivels that vein up, essentially relieving you of the varicose veins for the time being. Despite taking simple food and regular bowels, I still suffer from bloating. I take Vatahar, Shankvati, Haritaki and Rasa and still the bloating continues. I need to meet you. I would love to meet people. Unfortunately, I'm not meeting people face to face. Not for the fact that I'm scared of COVID happening to me. Of course, I'd be wrong to tell you that I am not scared of my 1-year-old. But also due to the fact that I'm probably not going to be suffering much. I'm with God's grace seem to be in pretty good shape, as well as of a favorable age in the current situation. But people who meet me are immunocompromised. So if I do have COVID, I could actually be a living time bomb where I can spread it to a lot of people. So I think it's not correct for me to see people right now. And also my guru has asked me not to. So I am going to follow what he says. So why could the bloating be there for you? It could probably be because of degeneration of the bones. A lot of times in Ayurveda, the bones and Vata dosh are in what we call as an Ashray Sambandh, which means the bones contain the Vata dosh as the hollow part of the bones. So, which means that they are opposites. If the calcium level or the bone density increases, Vata decreases. And if the calcium level decreases or the bone density increases, Vata increases. So bones and Vata are basically on a seesaw. If one increases, the other decreases. If the other decreases, the first one increases. So which means that if you take medicines that can increase the calcium absorption in your bones And today we all think it's D3, but there are multiple other ways that calcium can be absorbed by the body. We use this medicine called GT capsules, which I have used to cure my mother's osteoporosis as well, which can actually help you retrieve bone density, reducing the vata in the body, and that might help you with the bloating. But again, we'll have to see your case before we can give you an absolute customized analysis. Good afternoon, doctor. Will you be doing a workshop similar to what you did for us anytime soon? Okay, for people who don't know, probably I think a year and a half or 2 years back, I used to do this workshop which spanned 4 hours, 2 days, which means it was 8 hours in total, where I used to actually give every single one a book of Ayurveda which I had written myself. It wasn't really a book, it was more of a cluster of PowerPoint presentation. And I used to teach Ayurveda the basics to people, including giving you an entire list of home remedies that you can stick on your fridge and do whenever you have any problem. So I used to do that. It took a lot of my time. It took me 8 hours. I used to just blabber non-stop. And somehow I just thought, I don't have that time right now, and I stopped doing this. I'm new to Instagram. This is my second week. The last week, Sunday, was probably my first day on Instagram with this account. So I am actually open to doing this kind of a workshop spanning maybe not 8 hours. I'll try and do a concise version maybe in 4 Sundays consecutively, but only if people show interest. Otherwise it makes no sense for me to blabber to only 15, 20, 30 people. If there's a group that is really willing to show that kind of a commitment, I am always ready to share my knowledge, and if it can enrich or enliven anyone, it's worth it. Is milk recommended considering the hormonal effect? These days, they do inject cows with oxytocin and these kind of problems. Milk in general is recommended. I would really recommend you to consider getting into a little bit more detail of where the milk is being sourced from. Maybe if you can find someone who's giving you authentic milk without any adulteration or without trying to make a buck from you, that milk will be helpful. But yes, hormonal effects in the milk is a detrimental effect. I am having patients, boys who are suffering from gynecomastia, which means that they start developing breast-like symptoms because of the excessive female hormones that is injected into cows for an increased production of milk. So yes, there are problems there, but that doesn't take away from the fact that milk also has a lot of medicinal effects. Okay, so the next question, just hold on. Can lipoma be treated with Ayurveda? Does it have to be operated and removed? My husband has one that is increased in size, and surgeons suggest that it should be operated and removed. Lipoma can be treated in Ayurveda using what we call as Udvartan, which is more of a like a massage but with a powder massage all over the body. So you can powder massage it with Triphala powder every day. If it increases too much friction, you can apply a little bit of slight oil and then rub the Triphala powder. But it's too much of work and it's not very effective. So lipoma, if you expect just by taking medicines for it to go away, it doesn't work like that. So so I would recommend you to not go with treatments for lipoma. If the lipoma is very bothersome, you can operate it and remove it, but there is no guarantee that it will not come back again. Lipoma is not considered to be a medical disorder. It's more of a cosmetic problem, right? So it's not that a lipoma will have excessive pain or anything of the sort. It's just a cosmetic problem. It just looks a little bit lumpy. Otherwise, there's nothing wrong with it. Remedy for hormonal imbalance in girls. We have great medicines. Manjishta is one of the great herbs that works very, very well for hormonal imbalances. And I think from my experience, if done correctly, within about 3 cycles or 3 period cycles, most hormonal imbalances come back. People are suffering, girls are suffering from polycystic ovarian diseases or other similar problems. People are suffering from PCOD or other similar problems. They also get well with a 3-month course of hormonal balancing treatments. In Anulom Vilom, Kumbhak has to be done or not? Kumbhak has to be only done by people who are advanced. Unless you should not do Kumbhak. Also, Rechak has to be twice of Purak. Yes. For the people who don't understand what he's talking about, is that Purak means inspiration, Kumbhak means when you're holding your breath, and Rechak means expiration. So what I'm trying to tell you is that when you do Anulom Vilom, if you've breathed in for say 4 seconds, you need to breathe out for 8 seconds. Try not to hold it. Holding is only for people who are advanced in the science and when you've done it for a number of years and you know what you're doing. Otherwise, don't try to hold it. It might cause problems. Can we drink whey protein? It depends on the person. Whey protein, as nothing else in the world, isn't wholly good or bad. It depends on whether it suits you or not. What do you think of intermittent fasting? I love intermittent fasting. I'm a very big fan for the simple fact that it's given me so many patients. People who do these ketos and intermittent fasting diets fall sick and they come to me, and that's how my house runs. Keeping jokes aside, I am not a big fan of intermittent fasting because I feel it's a shortcut to getting well. I'm not saying you don't get well because of it. You lose weight, your sugar goes down, your blood pressure goes down, cholesterol goes down, your skin becomes better, you start sleeping better, and you're wondering I'm not recommending despite saying so much. But all that is only for a couple of days, months, weeks. Because what eventually happens is that you're reducing your kapha by increasing your vata. And people living in Bombay because of humidity normally suffer from kapha based diseases. We are not malnourished or we don't have these kind of problems. So when you start these kind of fasts, it really helps you in the short term. It brings everything down, including your sugar levels, which is very tough to bring down. But it's not sustainable. So after a certain point in time, you will start seeing vata related problems, and wherein you will have to quit intermittent fasting. And the time limit differs for different people. It could be months for a few people. Maybe people could stick with it for a couple of years and then they will do it, but they will have to do it. And when they start seeing that kind of a problem, they will revert back to not doing intermittent fasting, wherein all their problems that they had left out using intermittent fasting will slowly start returning. Maybe not to that extent, but they will return. But now you will have this free gift of a vata problem as well. So I always suggest that not just in health but in life, don't take these shortcuts to get well. Work harder, eat better and get well. Don't fast in order to get well. Okay? आज कुछ विशेष विषय में आप हमें परिचित कराएं. एक तो श्रेयस जी मुझे काफ़ी क्वेश्चंस हैं, तो मैं क्वेश्चंस के आंसर देने के आज मेरा ऐसा मूड है कि मैं लोगों से ज़्यादा बात करूं और मैं मोनोलॉग ना करूं, अकेला ना बोलूं, एक डायलॉग हो जाए कि आप भी एक इन्वॉल्व रहो मेरे साथ. आप मुझे प्रश्न पूछिए, मैं आंसर दूंगा. अगर चाहिए तो हम अगले संडे में वापस ऐसा करेंगे कि मैं एक विशेष टॉपिक के ऊपर आपसे बात करूंगा, मगर ऑलरेडी मैंने कह दिया था कि मैं आज हर एक क्वेश्चन का आंसर के लिए हूँ अवेलेबल. तो आज मैं ये करूँगा. अगले समय में चाहिए तो डाइट पे या तो किसी और सब्जेक्ट पे बात करूँगा. I experience continuous pain at the base of the nasal bone on the right side, which clogs the nasal path without any nasal drip, followed by a headache. What you have is a deviated nasal septum or a DNS. आपका जो नाक का सेप्टम है वो एक तरफ से डिविएट हो गया है, जिससे ये ब्लॉक हो गया है. नॉर्मली ENT डॉक्टर्स के लिए ये ब्रेड एंड बटर केस होता है जब इनको ऑपरेशन में लेके डिविएटेड नेजल सेप्टोप्लास्टी यानी ये सेप्टम को ऑपरेट करके सीधा कर देते हैं. मगर ये देखा गया है कि सीधा करने के बावजूद भी मोस्ट ऑफ द पेशेंट्स को रिकरेंस हो जाता है, प्रॉब्लम वापस आ जाती है. तो मैं ये नॉर्मली रेकमेंड नहीं करता. और अगर आप कुछ चीज़ें जैसे अणु तेल वगैरह को नाक में डालकर उसका उपयोग करें तो धीरे धीरे इम्प्रूव होने के चांसेस है. मगर आपको कितने एक्सटेंट तक वो DNS हुआ है उसके ऊपर आप डिसाइड करिए कि ऑपरेशन यूजफुल है या नहीं है. ऑनलाइन कंसल्टेशन इज़ पॉसिबल. जी हाँ, मैं आई एम डूइंग ऑनलाइन कंसल्टेशंस एवरी डे फ्रॉम मंडे टू सैटरडे. संडे इज़ द डे वेर आई डोंट डू ऑनलाइन कंसल्टेशंस. और मुझे घर में कोई बोलने देता नहीं है तो मैं इंस्टाग्राम पे आपके सामने बोलता हूँ. एनी सोराइसिस कोर्स इन आयुर्वेदा? सोराइसिस इज ट्रीटेबल इन आयुर्वेदा बट विथ अ लॉट ऑफ डिफिकल्टी. सोराइसिस ठीक तो होता है मगर बहुत प्रॉब्लमेटिक है क्योंकि वो डिजीज़ एलोपैथी में तो इनक्योरेबल है, मगर आयुर्वेद में बहुत सारा पंचकर्म या तो बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट डाइट मेंटेन करोगे तो ही उसमें रिजल्ट आना मुमकिन है. वॉट आयुर्वेदिक मेडिसिन इज़ फॉर B12 एंड विटामिन D? हम स्पेसिफिकली विटामिन B12 और D को एड्रेस नहीं करते, but we have medicines that can basically work as a good supplement to increase the body's energy levels, and there are food items that are rich in vitamin B12. Yes, please, would you like to do a workshop? So I don't know if I can put a poll or something, and if people are signing up for it, and if I probably get an X amount of signatures, I would do the workshop. Taking vitamins, proteins, and calcium tablets is good. If you are deficient, take it. If you are not, don't bother. A1 versus A2 milk. I think you should have a combination of A1 and A2 milk, not simply A2 milk. But even if you just get A2 milk and if it's a good quality, just go ahead. For weight loss, any home remedies? WHO defines weight loss to be three things: increase in the number of fat cells, increase in the size of fat cells, or both. अगर आपको नंबर ऑफ फैट सेल्स बड़े हैं तो आपको फैट बर्निंग करना पड़ेगा. अगर साइज ऑफ फैट सेल्स बड़े हैं तो वाटर रिटेंशन पे काम करना पड़ेगा. और अगर आपको सिर्फ ब्लोटिंग है और एब्डोमिनल वेट बढ़ गया है तो फिर आपको गैस का ट्रीटमेंट करना पड़ेगा. सो डिपेंडिंग ऑन आपको प्रॉब्लम क्या है उस हिसाब से मैं होम रेमेडी दे सकता हूँ. वेट लॉस एज अ होल का कभी होम रेमेडी नहीं होता. Thanks a lot to Dr. Manan sir. My wife was on blood pressure pills. After coming in contact the medication, she is completely fine without any pills. Thank you, Kunjan. I think we were talking about blood pressure, and here is an example that we've been curing people and now they don't need any medicines that they would normally have had to take for life. So that's pretty good. My father is taking Isabgol from 30 years. Can it be changed? Isabgol, I am absolutely against. I am not a big fan of Isabgol. Isabgol और थिंग्स लाइक दिस आर बल्क लैक्सेटिव्स, यानी उसको पानी में डालो वो फूल जाता है, फूल के धक्का मार के आपके स्टूल्स पास करता है. एंड बिकॉज इट डज दिस, आपका जो इंटेस्टाइन का लूमिन होता है यानी जो होल होता है, ये आपका इंटेस्टाइन है समझ लो, तो इसका होल इतना है. अगर रोज़ धक्का मार के करोगे तो इसका होल वाइडन हो जाएगा. वाइडन हो जाएगा तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करके स्टूल्स को धक्का मारना आपके इंटेस्टाइन्स कर नहीं पाएगी. ओके जैसे आप पाइप को अगर बहुत वाइड कर दोगे तो फिर वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं कर पाएगा, जैसे वेरिकोज वेन्स में हो जाता है. वैसे ही अगर आपके इंटेस्टाइन्स इसबगोल लेके वाइडन होके धक्का मार के स्टूल साफ करने वाले आपके इंटेस्टाइन्स वाइडन हो जाएंगे तो आप इसबगोल के एडिक्ट हो जाओगे. 10 साल 20 साल 30 साल 40 साल इसबगोल और धक्का मैकेनिकली मारे बिना आपके स्टूल्स जाएंगे नहीं, क्योंकि आपका इंटेस्टाइन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं कर पा रहा है. तो इसबगोल जो है वो आराम तो आपको देगा टेम्पररी, मगर वो बहुत नुकसान करेगा. वन ऑफ द बेस्ट आयुर्वेदिक प्रैक्टिशनर इन इंडिया, माही जी, दैट इज़ एब्सोल्युटली नॉट ट्रू. आई एम एब्सोल्युटली नॉट द बेस्ट आयुर्वेदिक प्रैक्टिशनर ऑफ इंडिया. आई एम अ वेरी स्मॉल प्रैक्टिशनर. आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग माई बेस्ट. फॉर अ वेजिटेरियन नॉट इनफ प्रोटीन इज ऑलवेज एन इश्यू. द प्रॉब्लम इज दैट पीपल हैव पुट इन टू आवर माइंड कि इतना प्रोटीन तो होना चाहिए. आई डोंट अग्री विद वॉट द कॉमन अंडरस्टैंडिंग के इतना प्रोटीन होना चाहिए. द सिंपल फैक्ट दैट आई एम नॉट अग्रीइंग कि इनफ प्रोटीन हमको नहीं मिलता है एज वेजिटेरियंस, फॉर दैट फैक्ट नो मैं हाफ द न्यूट्रास्यूटिकल प्रोडक्ट्स को आई टेक देम विद अ पिंच ऑफ सॉल्ट, मच टू देयर डिसलाइकिंग. इट्स नॉट दैट आई एम अगेंस्ट देम, दे मस्ट बी डूइंग ग्रेट वर्क, बट दे आर वर्किंग ऑन द प्रिजम्पशन दैट इतना प्रोटीन तो हमको चाहिए. दैट माइट नॉट बी ट्रू. What is the cause of urticaria? That will be a very long answer, but one of the chief causes that I have seen, not just with urticaria but also with psoriasis or allergic skin diseases, is that people who use milk and fruit together, यानी काफ़ी लोग होते हैं जो बनाना मिल्क शेक लेते हैं, स्ट्रॉबेरी विद क्रीम खाते हैं, यू नो दूध कैरी जो हम गुजरातीज में लेते हैं, यानी मैंगोज एंड मिल्क, मैंगो मिल्क शेक. ऑल ऑफ दीज पीपल आर द वंस हु आर सफरिंग द मोस्ट. दूध और मिल्क साथ में लेना, आजकल तो वो कॉर्नफ्लेक्स मुस्ली में किशमिश आती है, ग्रेप्स, और उसमें हम दूध डाल के वो किशमिश खाते हैं. दूसरा, काफ़ी लोग जो होते हैं वो टमेटो केचप खाने में खाते हैं डिनर वगैरह में, और सोने के पहले एक गिलास दूध पीते हैं, यानी टमेटो इज ऑल्सो अ फ्रूट. कीप अ 2 hour गैप बिटवीन मिल्क एंड फ्रूट. द सेम थिंग अप्लाइज टू मिल्क एंड फिश. अगर आप 2 घंटा गैप नहीं रखते हो और अगर फिश लेते हो और अगर उसके ऊपर मिल्क लेते हो तो दैट इज़ अ शॉर्टकट टू ऑल ऑफ दीज स्किन डिजीजेस. Can we have curd, buttermilk and milk? If yes, A2's milk. If you are able to digest it. Normally I don't recommend curd to people who are living in a humid area like Bombay, but there are certain people who are able to digest it. For them it's fine. If you are okay with milk and buttermilk also, if that's not causing you a problem, then great, go ahead. But if I know that this is the right Poonam Patel I'm talking to, for you, as I have told you, it's absolutely not allowed. How much water to drink in Mumbai? 2 liters etc. is too much sometimes. It depends on your body weight and your height. You can't expect a 4 foot 5 inch guy to have the same amount of water as a 6 foot 5 inch guy, right? So you need to understand that water intake is not a number that people throw out कि 5 लीटर तो पीना ही चाहिए, 4 लीटर से कम तो बात भी मत करो. Doesn't work like that. You have to understand what is good enough for you depending on how much body weight you have, where do you live. So Bombay you've clarified here, and what prakriti you are to determine. But normally in Bombay, with someone who's average height, average weight, male, 2 liters is somewhere good enough, 1.75 to 2, and a normal weight, normal height female, 1.5 to 1.75 is good enough. So that's just a very very vague average that I'm giving you. हेयर फॉल कैसे प्रिवेंट करें, तो मैंने एक होम रेमेडी हेयर फॉल की बताई है. मेरे आई हैव अ यूट्यूब चैनल वेर आई एम गिविंग आउट होम रेमेडीज फॉर थिंग्स. सो पीपल, इफ यू वांट टू नो होम रेमेडीज, it's called the Integral Ayurveda. Again, you can just search for it on YouTube, and now I'm posting on Instagram and not on YouTube, but you can see all the past videos I have. हेयर फॉल की वीडियो देख लीजिए, उसमें 2-3 होम रेमेडीज है, प्लीज़ लुक एट इट. वर्कशॉप विल बी full in an hour. My normal workshop is an 8-hour workshop. I can trim it down and only give you the basics, and I can probably half it down to 4 hours. I cannot do 4 hours in a day. It's impossible for me. It takes too much of my time and effort, but I can do 1 hour for 4 weeks. 4 Sundays consecutively I can do 1 hour. I will only consider this if after this in the IGTV video, if all of you all tell me that listen, we are going to sign up for it, only then will I actually make the effort, share the PowerPoint presentations with you so that you can actually sit with a paper and pen and understand the workshop. शीत पित्त अर्टिकेरिया का उपचार, मेरे हिसाब से अर्टिकेरिया का उपचार इंस्टाग्राम पे मैं नहीं दे पाऊँगा, वो मुझे थोड़ा देना पड़ेगा प्रॉपरली. डू यू रिकमेंड वमन? मैं पंचकर्म सब लोगों को रिकमेंड करता हूँ. एवरीवन, वमन, विरेचन, बस्ती, नस्या, रक्तमोक्षण, सारे लोगों को वंस इन अ ईयर करना चाहिए इन द करेक्ट सीजन. वमन जो है वो वसंत ऋतु में होती है, विच इज़ January, February. विरेचन इज इन द शरद, विच इज़ द October heat period. Basti, which is enema, should be done in the Varsha Rutu, which is at this time. Enema should never be done in a water-based enema. It has to be oil-based and water-based in consecutive ways. Nasya you can do once in a year. Again during if you are doing it for relieving the cold and during Vasant. And Rakta Mokshan you should again do in Sharad or in the summers. Thyroid medicine. Yes, we have thyroid medicines. We can help you out with that. Urticaria cause, I think I've answered this. What is the best diet for a normal human being like me? There is no diet for a normal human being. Diet is basically dependent on 8 factors. On prakriti, on how you are processing your food, on what mixtures that you are making in your diet, sanyog, on the quantity of each thing that you are doing. You can't have achar like a sabzi or vice versa. On the area that you are living in, on your personal allergic, you could be allergic to food, right? On your personal allergies, and on how much you're following the rules of eating. You know, are you talking and eating? Are you eating with concentration, very fast, very slow? So everything taken into consideration will form dietics. If everyone is okay with it, I can the next next Sunday video, I can talk in detail about dietics, so you can understand of how much deep Ayurveda is for dietics, and maybe some practical things that you can take with you. Is taking Haritaki daily safe for motions? Very safe. Haritaki is used as Brahma Rasayan. It is also something that is anti-aging and promotes health, right? But people who take Haritaki daily should ensure they take more ghee, because Haritaki, when taken on a long time span, is very drying in nature. Is urticaria a gut related issue? No, it's a skin related issue, but yes, the root cause is the gut. Do you recommend a headstand, Shirsasana? Shirsasana is great. In fact, you can do Shirsasana. But for people who have problems where the Vata is going upwards, which means if you have a vomiting kind of a problem, or you have a giddiness kind of a problem, or you have anxiety or mental problems, or you have high blood pressure, then you're not supposed to do it. Thanks, doc. Wanted to understand Ayurveda medicines are tested heavy for metals. Metals are used in every pathy. For example, in pregnancy, you've been given iron. Iron is also a metal. Revitalize zinc. Salman Khan has been screaming for years on my TV now. Zinc is also a metal. Metals are used in everything. Arsenicum, album, everything is a metal. The problem with Ayurveda is that the Supreme Court has given a ruling saying that Ayurvedic medicines can be manufactured at your home, in your backyard. right? And that will be considered to be valid. Now that's the problem. If you've taken a metal and you've not converted it into an edible form which doesn't cause any problems, right? And it's not made into in laboratories like what allopathic medicines or iron is made. Now that could be a problem. If iron you're taking as iron instead of converting it into other edible and consumable forms is a problem. But the FDA has become so strict these days. Earlier people used to just make those pudis and give medicines. Nowadays it's very very strict. If you take medicines from an Ayurvedic doctor who makes pudis, then you need to be a little bit aware of what he's giving you and how and where are the medicines manufactured. Like for people like us, we only use FDA approved medicines from people who have ISO certified factories who make them for us. So we don't really use these kind of pudis and things because frankly I wouldn't take it myself. I wouldn't give it to my family. So why would I give it to anyone else? Makes no sense. Dr. Manan is always available on the phone to the patients, giving a lot of comfort. Thank you for that testimonial. Mean to say that it will be booked in an hour. Duration is not an issue. I would love to listen to you. I didn't understand what it was referring to. If it was the workshop, then if we can probably figure out a time, maybe we can do it on these Sunday things as well, 4 Sundays. My mother has a prolapse of uterus. Is there any Ayurvedic remedy? I normally don't look too much into gynecological disorders, but another doctor from my team can get in touch with you. So just get in touch with me. I'll tell you what to do. I'm interested in the workshop. Okay, great. If people are interested in the workshop, please write it in the comments so I know what we can do here. Right. So I think I've run out of questions, and I don't know how much time I have left, to be very honest as well. So if there are any more questions, then we can answer it, or I can call it a day. I don't think we will have too much time now, maybe 3 to 5 more minutes, so I might be able to answer a last question. I am going to be putting in the description. This video is going on IGTV, so you can refer to it at any given point in time. I will take one more question if it comes very soon before Instagram cuts me off. 2 things that I'm going to be putting in the IGTV video description. The first thing that I'm going to be putting is a link which you can click and find out what Prakruti you belong to. The second thing I will be putting is, if you are interested in the workshop, I will be telling you how you can sign up, right? I might keep like a token amount which you can just pay, just so that I know that you all really are interested and not just saying it, because I need to be really sure, because I'll be spending this 1 hour that I'm spending with other people to help those select few who are interested in the workshop. I have gotten a last question, so I'll answer it. Any remedies for sinuses? Okay, this is a repeat question. I will answer this question. You can take a dry ginger powder, mix it in a paste of water, apply it on the sinus areas while also having a spoonful of ghee. One thing that I did for the sinus here is that so I had gone to Punjab and a few Kulu Manali and these places during winter, and it was also snowing in Shimla and few other places. Was very very cold, and a lot of people suffered from sinus. And at that time I was just in my undergraduation. I think I was in my 2nd year or 3rd year of studies. But again, I knew Ayurveda since I was very very young. So I took a piece of Peru, guava, which was available at that time there, just a slice, okay, and I smeared this with black pepper. I took just one slice. I didn't eat the whole Peru. Took one slice, smeared it with black pepper, and I ate that one slice. That cured my sinus problem. Now you are wondering that Peru or guava increases a cold. How did this work? A beautiful example of how Ayurveda works. Very interesting. The guava works as what we call as yogvahi, which means that it is taking the black pepper to the areas where cough is there, which means to the sinuses and the areas where there is cough build-up. And the black pepper is breaking the cough down there. So had I taken just the black pepper, it may not have had so much of an impact in my sinus area. But if the reason why I took it with the guava, that's why it had impact. Alright, so 20 seconds left before Instagram shuts me down. I will post a few details about the workshop in either in today's description or in the next couple of days. If I'm unable to answer your questions, I'm extremely sorry. We will meet 12 noon next Sunday. Do keep in touch and recommend to other people so that my talk can help them out a little bit. Thank you.